Hey, welcome to the Dead channel. So I'm not going to be wasting too much of your time talking about how I didn't post for 3 years or 4 years. And to be honest, people who subscribed to me all that time ago are probably not going to care about this video. But guess what? Now I have a gaming PC and I can make gaming videos just like I've always wanted. For the new people coming into the channel because you'd like Dying Light Bad Blood, welcome, and I hope you can find my videos enjoyable and informative. Alright, but let's get to the point. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that talks for 10 hours and doesn't get to the point of the video. As you can see through my stats, I've been grinding out those hours like crazy. Look, 4 hours, dude. Who's done that in like 2 days? No one. Okay, so my advice is very credible. I got your back. If you want to get straight to the point of the game that you want to know, these are the timestamps of things that I'm going to talk about. So starting with the normal settings, I had to decrease the mouse sensitivity because that was too high, but I normally play with the low sensitivity, so that's just me. Mouse smoothing, turn that shit down because it's just very weird. It's like mouse acceleration times 1,000. It just feels very floaty. I mean, if you like it, that's whatever floats your boat, dude. And then for the good stuff, the keybinds, the only things I changed were the actions and the quick select for the weapons and equipment. Because if you use function keys to actually switch through those, like, congratulations, you are not a human being, because it's impossible. I cannot reach the fucking function keys with my baby fingers. And be sure to do yourself a favor by turning this abomination off. And to finish off the settings tour, by putting the field of view to the max, your character is essentially taking the pill from Limitless. And I'm really glad they included this feature because seriously, it does help a lot, so I suggest you do the same. So starting with the items and mechanics of the game, heavy and light weapons. Heavy weapons are the weapons with the long handles, and they do a lot of damage, but the downside to them is that the reload equivalent of melee combat is very slow. So if you're going to swing at someone with a heavy weapon, even more if it's a heavy attack with that heavy weapon, make sure you hit them, because if it's a good player, they'll notice that you can't hit them for a few seconds and they might try and lunge at you. As for light weapons, you can hit the enemy many times without spending too much stamina, but obviously you're not going to take as much damage from them. I personally prefer heavy weapons because I don't have to hit the enemy that many times to kill them, but you do have to be more tactical with them. Also, the weapons have a rarity system. Green is trash, orange is amazing. So that means if you find a rare katana, you pretty much win the game. I'm not even going to mention guns like the pistol and the shotgun. Shotgun mainly, because that stuff is just overpowered and you're probably not going to find it in most games. They're pretty straightforward, and I wish they could be nerfed because encountering someone with a gun is very, very frustrating. The equipment in the game are the 4 slots in the game's HUD. The 2 types of items are throwables and consumables, so medkits, painkillers, throwing axes, landmines, molotovs, hand grenades, things like that. Painkillers give you 20 HP and you can use them while walking. On the other hand, medkits can top up your HP completely, but the thing to keep in mind is that you have to be in a safe place because you have to be still. But if you're interrupted, you can't finish healing and you completely lose the medkit, so try to find a safe place to heal up. The explosives in the game are pretty straightforward. They take a lot of damage and have a pretty nice radius. The game also has 3 weapon upgrades at the moment: Ice, Shock, and Bleed. Bleed makes your enemy bleed, Ice makes your enemy slower, and Shock, when charged up with a heavy attack, makes your enemy drop the weapon they are holding. Keep in mind that any heavy attack with an upgrade makes the upgrade more effective, so it's not just the shock. The last equipment is the throwing axe, and this is used for bleed damage. So if you throw a throwing axe at someone, they start bleeding, which means that they have to take out the axe. And to take out the axe, they have to stand still, which grants you the opportunity to hit them again. Oh my god. I fucking wrecked you. The minimap is also really useful because, as you can see from this clip, I was just here looting and I couldn't necessarily hear the enemies because they were a bit far away. But when I looked at the minimap, I could see the red notification indicating where the enemies are and how far they are from me. There are 3 areas in the minimap where you can see how close you are to the enemy. Right now I am extremely close and you can see that there's 2 people here. So the middle of the minimap is red. Try! And I completely fucked that up. See how close this guy is to me? He shows up in the minimap, and the other guy also shows up on the minimap, but he's a bit further away. He is not in the middle circle. He's in the second part. And there's also a third part right there. And finding hives to extract samples from is pretty simple. You can see the DNA sign in the minimap. One thing I noticed about the minimap is that things normally seem closer than they are. So keep that in mind when you see a hive that seems close to you. You'll probably have to walk a bit further than you thought you would. Now for tips and tactics, just to end off the video. Inventory slots and how to organize them. It's a shame that Techland hasn't implemented an actual inventory page that you can open in the game and organize where you want to put your items. But for now, what I've been doing is holding R to drop the items and then pick them up again on the slot that I want to. Because normally I like to know what type of weapons I'm going to have in each slot so that I can memorize them and know which weapon to use and what buttons to press, instead of scrolling through the inventory in the middle of a fight. What you could also do is, before you pick up the weapons, select the inventory slot you want to pick up the weapon on. I haven't been doing this, I don't know why, but I think it would be more efficient than dropping the weapons and picking them up again. It's just that I'm used to opening an inventory and organizing the inventory like I want it in other games. Second tip would be looking around when extracting samples and positioning yourself properly so that while you're extracting, so that people don't come up behind you. So if there's a corner right behind you and you're extracting, that's not good. You should face the corner so that if someone pops out, you can see them. Obviously you can see through the minimap, but I would just do this as a precaution. This one is pretty straightforward, and you'd realize it after a few matches of playing the game. But make sure to always pick up the armor and samples that the big zombie bosses drop, because you know having armor is always good. If you get the chance, always use sweet spots to kill big zombies and get big highs, because you get a ton of samples from that. And by sweet spots I mean places where it's hard for the big zombies to get in and attack you, so that you can keep whacking away at them and they can't hit you very easily. When this sign shows up because you've been too focused on hitting your enemy too many times, turn around and run. The reason I say turn around is because you can actually sprint without stamina. You obviously cannot run backwards, and you can't strafe backwards either, because that uses stamina as well. So when this happens, just turn around and start sprinting to get distance from your enemy. And lastly, just a little tip on how to use the gas tanks. You have to hit them before you throw them. So you hit them, pick them up, and then you throw them. Just like this. Without almost dying though. This video only includes the basics of the basics, and I know that I missed quite a lot of tips that I would have liked, but I don't want to keep this video too long. If you like the video, want more, let me know and give me suggestions of what to make videos about. Maybe tips, maybe just whatever you guys want, if there's anyone watching. The game is really cool. I suggest everyone to try it out if you can pay £15 or $20 and support the developers because it's in early access. But drop a like if you enjoyed and subscribe. I have intentions of continuing making videos, so make sure to stick around if you enjoy the content.